Hey everyone, I've got some urgent news for all green card holders and anyone dealing with US visas or work permits. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. November 2025 is bringing some major changes in immigration policies that could impact your green card, visa applications, and EAD renewals. I just went through all the updates, and there are a few things that could actually affect your status or how fast your paperwork moves. So it's really important to stay informed. I'm going to break it all down for you: what's new, what's changing, and what you need to do right now to avoid delays or complications. Stick with me, because even a small change could make a big difference for your applications. And hey, if you find this useful, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing these updates to you. So, picking up from where we left off, let's dive right into these updates. I know for many of you, dealing with immigration paperwork is stressful. It feels like every time you think you've got things figured out, something changes. And that's exactly why this November 2025 update is so important. There are a lot of moving pieces in US immigration right now. And if you're holding a green card, waiting on a visa, or planning to renew your EAD, some of these changes could affect you sooner than you think. I want to make sure you're fully prepared and that nothing catches you off guard, because honestly, being informed is the first step to feeling in control of the process. First off, let's talk about green card holders. If you've been a permanent resident for a while, you might think you've got everything under control, but these new updates touch on processing times, potential delays, and even subtle shifts in rules that can affect renewals or adjustments. One of the biggest things I noticed is that USCIS is really emphasizing accuracy in applications more than ever before. That might sound simple, but it's huge. Even small mistakes in forms or missing documents can lead to additional requests, delays, or in some cases, denials. And I know that's the last thing anyone wants after waiting months, or even years, for their status to be finalized. What's really interesting about these changes is that they aren't just about processing speed. They also include policy clarifications that make the system a little more predictable. For example, if you're someone who's been holding a green card for several years and thinking about applying for citizenship soon, there are subtle shifts in how residency requirements and continuous presence are being interpreted. It's not a huge overhaul, but it's enough that you need to know how to document your time correctly and make sure your applications won't run into any unnecessary complications. Trust me, having this knowledge ahead of time can save you weeks or even months down the road. Now, for those of you waiting on visa updates, this is where things get really interesting. November 2025 has brought some significant changes to visa categories and how interviews are scheduled. There's been a noticeable push to reduce backlogs, which is great news if you've been stuck waiting. But here's the thing: you need to act strategically. With more visas being processed faster, it also means USCIS and consulates are looking closely at every application. They're prioritizing completeness, clarity, and proof of eligibility. That's why it's so important not to wait until the last minute to submit any documents or respond to requests. Even a small delay on your part could slow down the process, and I know how frustrating that can be. And I've got to say, the changes in EADs, employment authorization documents, are particularly exciting. For anyone who relies on an EAD to work while waiting on a visa or adjustment, these updates could mean faster renewals and fewer periods where you're unable to work. This is not just about convenience. It can affect your finances, your job security, and even your peace of mind. Imagine being able to plan your life without the constant stress of, will my work permit come in time? That's exactly what these updates are aiming to improve. I'll explain the details in a way that's easy to understand, so you can see how it might apply to your specific situation. Something I want to highlight here is how the government is communicating these changes. For many of us, immigration updates can feel opaque or confusing. But in November 2025, there's been a conscious effort to make guidance clearer with updated forms, instructions, and timelines. That doesn't mean there won't be questions. That's always part of the process. But it does mean that if you pay attention to the details now, you can avoid a lot of unnecessary headaches. I know from talking to many of you in the comments and messages that confusion and misinformation are a huge source of stress. So having clarity can be life-changing. I also want to touch on common misconceptions about these updates. One of the biggest ones I've seen is that people assume a green card or visa application will automatically proceed faster just because the government is pushing new rules. That's not entirely true. While some processing speeds are improving, Your own documentation, history, and eligibility are still what drive success. So it's not about luck, it's about preparation. And that's exactly why staying informed through trusted sources, like this channel, makes such a difference. Speaking of which, one thing I absolutely love about sharing these updates with you is the community we've built. So many of you comment, share your experiences, and ask questions that help others in similar situations. If you've ever hesitated to ask a question about your immigration status, I want you to feel comfortable here. This is a space where we can break down complicated information together, and I'll always try to make it understandable and practical so you feel ready to take the next steps. Now, let's go a little deeper into the green card specifics. One important update is about conditional green cards and renewals. If you're in that 2-year conditional period, there are some small but meaningful changes in how USCIS is evaluating applications. This includes extra attention to your employment, residency, and relationships if you obtained your card through marriage or a family-based petition. Nothing alarming, but it's a reminder that thoroughness is key. Gathering documents, proof of ongoing relationships, and demonstrating continuous residence is more important than ever. If you miss even one piece of evidence, it can trigger additional requests or delays that nobody wants. For those waiting for visa interviews, there's been a push to increase appointments in consulates that have been backlogged for years. That's huge news. However, you have to keep an eye on scheduling windows and be ready to submit everything on time. Missing an appointment or having incomplete forms can set you back months. I can't stress enough how important it is to stay proactive and organized. Even a small adjustment to how you handle your application now can save you a lot of stress and keep your plans on track. Now let's chat about EAD updates, because I know this is a topic that directly affects so many of you's daily lives. If you're someone who works under an EAD, the new processing timelines mean fewer gaps where you're unable to work. This is particularly important if you're self-supporting, supporting a family, or planning major life changes like buying a home or signing a lease. A delay in an EAD might not just be inconvenient, it can have serious financial implications. The good news is that with these updates, there's more predictability, which makes planning a lot easier. I also want to cover travel considerations. With changes in visa rules and green card processing, some of you might be thinking about traveling internationally. Here's the key. While green cards allow you to travel, you still need to be mindful of timing and documentation. The updates in November 2025 provide more clarity on how extended travel outside the US could impact continuous residence requirements. This is especially relevant for anyone considering citizenship in the next few years. It might seem like a small detail, but missing a deadline or misunderstanding a rule could create unexpected complications. That's why staying updated is absolutely essential. As we move forward, I want to emphasize the importance of double-checking everything. I know it sounds repetitive, but trust me, it's for a reason. Whether it's forms, supporting documents, or deadlines, double-checking can prevent unnecessary stress, delays, or even denials. A simple oversight can create months of additional waiting, and nobody wants that. Think of it like this. A little extra time spent now can save you huge headaches later. And honestly, I want to make sure all of you are in the best position to succeed. And here's a friendly reminder. If you're finding this video useful so far, don't forget to smash that like button. It helps me continue bringing these updates directly to you. And it also lets me know that I should keep diving into all the nitty-gritty details that really matter. Sharing this video with someone else going through the same journey can also make a huge difference. They'll thank you for it, I promise. Lastly, let's talk about moving forward with confidence. Use these updates to your advantage. Organize your documents, track your deadlines, and make sure you're following the new instructions closely. Reach out to trusted sources if you have questions, and don't hesitate to get clarity before submitting anything. This approach will help you avoid unnecessary stress and ensure that your immigration journey is as smooth as possible. Remember, staying informed isn't just about paperwork. It's about peace of mind, security, and planning your life without uncertainty. So take a deep breath, know that you're prepared, and keep moving forward with confidence. And as always, if this video helped you feel more prepared or gave you insights you didn't have before, hit that like button and consider subscribing so you don't miss any future updates. Sharing your experiences in the comments also helps others, and I love seeing our community support one another. So there you have it. November 2025 is packed with important updates, But with the right approach, knowledge, and preparation, you can navigate all of it successfully. Keep your documents organized, stay proactive, and remember, you've got this. We'll continue tracking updates, and I'll be right here to break down anything new as it happens, so you never have to feel lost or unsure about your immigration journey.